Hey everyone. The bone's a bit exposed with the scarf here. Hang on. How are you guys doing? Okay, Marsha the Great here. Now, I've got some stuff that I wanna run past you guys. Okay. Um, oh, this is gonna be very interesting. I can't lie. This is gonna be this is gonna be very interesting. Okay. Now, I have something I need to tell you guys about the trolls that have been on my YouTube recently. I've kind of put together a pattern as to what's going on. So for a little background, I left a couple of videos on my channel talking about, Tommy Robinson, the protest with Tommy Robinson. And I talked about Sharon Stott threatening death against Muslims or saying that we need, they need to kill all the Muslims, like that type of stuff. Right. So I had two videos that I uploaded onto YouTube with regards to that subject matter. The first one was Shabba Dabba Truth's video, exposing the message by Sharon Stott herself. There were her words on the message, right? Saying that we got to kill all Muslims and we got to defend ourselves. You know, that usual bullshit, right? So that was the first video I posted, and I got like about 12 comments on that post. And then I posted another one, which was my response to it. And then I got a slew of trolls, which I believe are from right here in Brighton. I got a slew of trolls commenting on my page. There's a couple of users that are the most persistent. The first one was, I think it was Veiled Visions or something like that. And the only reason why they were persistent was because I wrongfully assumed that they assumed that I want to see children like raped or something, or that I'm okay with it, when really it was just like one user saying that shit twice. So I mistakenly said Veiled Visions, or whatever their username is. I mistakenly said or mistakenly thought that they thought that I was okay with child abuse, which is not something that I stand for. And I've never stood for that. So because I made that mistake, they of course came back onto my page calling me a racist and calling me all kinds of names and stuff like that. And they were quite persistent. So the first persistent one was Smog, and then Smog gave up. And then it was Veiled Visions. And then it was somebody that I'm only going to call Stoic. You will know who they are. I've got screenshots of them everywhere on my Facebook, right? The third one, Stoic, is the one that interests me the most from those two videos. Because when I uploaded those two videos, right, they started showing up on other videos on my channel. The first video that they showed up in, outside the main two that we're talking about here, the first one that they showed up in talking a whole bunch of nonsense was, let me just see it here. I'm going to show you in a minute. Hold on. I've got to see how, why is this not scrolling properly? Okay. It was, hang on, it was this one. Let me just look at the shorts, man, sure. All right. So got the shorts down here. So the first one that Stoic commented on was, hold on. This video right here. Let me just take this out and I'll show you. Ah, shit. Okay. So right here was the first of my videos that they commented on. All right. So if we look to the comments here and we sort by newest. Okay. Well, where are the comments gone? Hang on. I think they might have been deleted. It's okay. I got screenshots. So this is one of the videos that the Stoic man has left on my page, on this particular video, where I talk about Emma Logan's friend, I believe his name is Ryan, attempting to come over here to intimidate and attack me. Um, you know, my thing is this, right? I have like threatened to kick Emma Logan's ass like 3 separate times. So I'm kind of surprised it took them this long to try to return serve. But yeah, they tried to return serve on Friday, the 5th of September. So I made this video about it. And this is where Stoic Man shows up here with the laugh emojis. And my only response was, the plot thickens. So that's my only response with this one. Now, I'm going to go to another video that they've commented on. This is the video that I feel like they've commented on the most, which is giving me a clue as to who the identity of this troll actually is. Now let's go to another short. It's this one here. So it's this one here. You can't hear it very well, but this family are Emma Logan's family. They're using karaoke as directed psychological warfare. So I've just filmed it here, and there are 5 comments. I think like maybe there's a hidden comment somewhere. Let me see newest. Yeah, so I think there's a hidden comment somewhere. No, there's 5 comments on here. But I pinned this one that says, "Are you a boy or a girl? You need sectioning." So that's one of the times they've mentioned sectioning. They've mentioned it several times. And, you know, I said something like, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let you figure that one out because I'm not a transphobic cunt. So, this says you're only jealous because you don't get none or got a man. And I said it was a young family using karaoke for noise pollution, not people having sex, you repressed freak. It says have sex, not people having sex, you repressed freak. And they're a young single family, so what the fuck are you talking about? And then it says, Empress Marshmallow, calm down, will you? Oh, this is a 1 hour ago. It says, Empress Marshmallow, calm down, will you? You'll drive yourself round the bend. So that's actually a 3rd time they've mentioned my mental health with your hatred views and according to going back, looking and listening to utter crap. Okay, so that's the 3rd time they've mentioned mental health. I didn't even catch that. So, you know, they gave me a comment on that video like an hour ago, right? So let's go to another. This is where it gets interesting because they strategically go around looking for another video from years back, right? Let me see if I can get it on my history. Let me see if we can get it on my history here. Because it'll show up. I've been on that video. So it's not a short, it's another video. So let's go down. Hold on. Let's go down. Hang on. This thing is just not. Yeah, here we go. So crucial evidence against Brent Mind is where they chose to, is where they chose to comment. And this right here is detailing how Brent Mind, in a bid to cover up gang stalking, and in a bid to cover up their role in it, they tried to threaten me with litigation, eviction, and sectioning in the same breath. Which is like legally not a fucking thing that you can do. At all. Like, I'm on benefits, so you can't sue. And I'm like paranoid schizophrenic. So gang stalking said that I was paranoid schizophrenic. So if they say I'm paranoid schizophrenic, then how am I sane enough to create an elaborate lie that could get me sued for defamation? That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about when I say when gang stalkers lies tell on them. And then they want to threaten me with eviction as well, which they can't do like that. And they know they can't do that like that because shortly after this, I put a surrender tenancy forward and they were trying all kinds of different things to get me back, seeing if there was any way that I could legally be brought back to that flat in Cricklewood. So they were contradicting themselves like literally multiple times in that one letter. Now, let's go down. Okay, so basically, hang on. let's see here. Okay, so got laughter emojis again. And then I replied with hashtag million minge march. Hold on, no. I replied with hashtag 3 million minge march. And this person's so stupid. he said, how's the court case going? That's so dumb. I swear to God. Okay, so they've walked there. Sorry, that's so fucking stupid. Okay, hold on. All right, so basically, it says here, sue her. They keep spelling racist wrong. I don't know why. Sue her. She's racist. Where you running to now? Piss myself laughing. You need sectioning for sure. Final warning, calm down. And I said, final warning for what? Fuck off. So I don't understand. I just don't understand. Where you running off to now? I'm like, putting all of this together. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. Let me cook. And let me put this back. Hang on. Putting all of this together, it's very obvious to me. Like, this is what I believe is going on. I think that it's Emma Logan who is obviously the stoic man or the troll behind the stoic man. And I think that there are other people in Woodingdean who have been co-signing her, who have been egging her on, who have been giving her information, who have been giving her tips to argue against me with, which haven't worked well because I've pretty much cleared all my fucking trolls on there to the point where they've backed down, right? So I believe that the stoic man is Emma Logan and maybe some other people who have taken turns on that username, because sometimes that can happen. Sometimes gang stalkers can have one like user account and like multiple people are using it, but they take turns in using it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I feel like that's what's going on here. I feel like the stoic man might be Emma Logan and like maybe like some other people on that account, but mostly her, right? So that's what I think is going on. And I think the reason why this is going on is 2 reasons. The first thing is that recently, in order to cover up a lie for Emma Logan, my landlord's First Charterhouse Investment offered me a Section 21, which I took immediately. All right. I took that immediately. And the landlords tried to basically take it back by saying, oh, you know, we sent it on the wrong day. Like, yeah, bullshit. You didn't send it on the wrong day. When you issue a Section 21, it doesn't matter which day you section it. It doesn't matter which day that you actually hand in the notice. As long as you hand it in before 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon, like I said before, it is valid. So I reminded the landlords of that and they didn't come back with a response, which leads me to believe that either the landlords were attempting to delay it by a day because of the rent, because of when the rent is due, or more likely that Section 21 was meant to be a bluff and I wasn't supposed to take it. I've been asking for a Section 21 for years, ever since that family moved in. So now it's been given to me. And now that the council have no choice but to move it forward, the landlords know that they could stand to lose a lot of money. They know they could stand to lose a lot of money if I move out of here. And especially if my tenancy runs out in November, they could lose a lot of money with that document, especially if that document is finalized. And if I'm, the likelihood is that I'm not going to be able to move out in 2 months. But if I am able to move out in 2 months, they lose a lot of money, right? And they need a way to revoke the Section 21 so that they don't lose any money. So the only thing that I think the landlords could think of was to get me sectioned, right? So what they did was they decided to come on my social media and aggravate me to the point where I would get violent. I did get violent. I did try to get violent once because I left a video on my thing saying, don't accuse me of co-signing of the rape of young girls because I'm not putting up with it. So I did threaten to throw hands at one point, like against 2 users, one of whom said that I wanted white girls to be raped, which is fucking disgusting. And the second one that I thought mistakenly said that because I didn't read the user properly. So I did threaten to throw hands. I did. But apparently that wasn't enough because Stoic kept going. Smog kept going. Veiled Visions kept going. So it wasn't enough that I said, like, look, I'm about to do this, that, and the third. You know my location, pull up. It's not enough for me to say that. I have to be in a state where I am not in my right mind, where I have been driven crazy by this harassment. But because it wasn't working, the other trolls just kind of gave up. Stoic kept going. And the way in which Stoic kept going was to go on those 3 videos, one talking about Emma Logan's friend trying to threaten me and attack me. No, not trying to threaten me. They threatened me. They intimidated me and tried to intimidate me and tried to attack me because I didn't know what was going on at first. And then the second video was where Emma Logan was committing noise pollution, like trying to engage in directed warfare with karaoke, which is as ridiculous as it sounds. And then the third video was that Brent Mime thing. So obviously all of these things are a callback to the Section 21 incident. So that's what I believe is going on. I believe that there's this concerted effort to section me, to prevent me from leaving with the Section 21. So that's one of the things that I believe is happening. The second thing that I believe is happening is that there is an attempted sabotage to stop me from communicating with Pauline Chung or interviewing her on her experiences with Dorset police and her gang stalking. That's the second reason why I believe this is happening. Now, I did say that gang stalking could hide behind the far right movement, the rise of the far right. Gang stalking has been hiding behind that because you could see that in my comment section under Marsha the Grey, right? So like clockwork, like I said gang stalkers would do, they hid behind the far right's abuse because the far right have also been engaging in gang stalking without calling it that. They hid behind the far right to do what they needed to do. And they tried another way to get me sectioned by trying to destabilize me mentally. So I think Dorset police are behind this. I think nationwide police are behind this through specific individuals. I don't think like the whole of the fucking police are after like one black woman from Northwest London. Like it doesn't work like that. But I do think that whoever is targeting both Pauline and myself, they have joined forces to try to get me sectioned and try to get me sectioned and stop me leaving. First to prevent the loss of money for my landlords and to possibly prevent me from interviewing Pauline on her experiences because she's been tortured quite extensively. And when it comes to psychiatry, she's been psychiatrically abused very, very heavily. And I was going to interview her about that. I'm still going to. So that's what I believe is going on. That's what I believe is at the root of all of this. It is an attempt to section me, yes, but why? Why escalate it to this point? They've never done that before, right? Why do they need me to be intimidated to a point where they feel I won't be able to control myself? Why? What is at stake? Think about the worst reasons you can think of as to why somebody would do that. I'm a targeted individual, right? And because I got the Section 21 and because I was determined to get the Section 21 after that incident on the 5th of September, I started revealing names, right? And then on top of that, before that even happened, when I tried to interview Pauline on Instagram Live on my Marsha the Great Instagram, we were beset with problems. After that, it was a shit show. After that, the gang stalking escalated. So I'm thinking the gang stalkers must be thinking to themselves, shit, like we got to crank this up now before her and Pauline start saying anything else. So that's what I believe is going on. That's why all this trolling is happening. I think Emma is one of the people like on that Stoic username talking shit, regurgitating the same fucking talking points to try to get me upset enough to rage and to throw a fit and stuff like that. And I'm just like we've done this before. We've been here before. What do you think you're going to achieve with this? Especially given what's going on right now. And if there are other races around here co-signing you, what do you think the odds are of me actually staying here? Slim to none. This is what I don't understand about the gang stalkers. You got me out of here. Not the gang stalkers, not the ones firing the remote weapons. I know they have to be sick over this shit because now I've got to move again and they got to recruit new people to position for the electronic weapons. And those electronic weapons are fucking expensive. So I know they got to be hurting. But these perps up here, they've wanted me out for the longest time. They've actually won. I don't understand why they feel the need to do this. This is ridiculous. So the far right, that's what I'm saying. The far right and the perps have something in common. Every time they catch a win, instead of being happier, instead of celebrating, instead of like popping champagne like their leaders are, they're getting angrier and angrier and they're harassing people and they're haranguing people, like trying to go after anybody, embarrassing them. It's pathetic. Why do you need somebody else miserable in order to win? You got what you wanted. Take the win and fuck off. But yes, let's get back to Stoic Man, the user Stoic Man on YouTube. Let's get back to that. So when it comes to this thing here, I've got multiple screenshots of all the comments left on my videos by the far right and by the perps, okay, by the Nazis basically. And my head and emotions have been mentioned once. Sickness has been mentioned once. Mental health has been mentioned twice. So if we add sick and head and emotions to that, my mental health has been mentioned 4 times. Transphobic rhetoric, like you look like a man, mentioned twice. Legal action threats have been mentioned 3 times. Right? So legal action has, no, actually, I think, tell a lie, right? I think it's been mentioned 4 times because twice, Stoic Man threatened to sue me, and another 2 times they egged Brent Mind on to sue me, and then they asked how the court case was going, right? Bear in mind, this is a video that was released on July the 1st, 2020, which was 6 days before I finally moved out of that flat, right? That was what, like, you're talking about something from 5 years ago that hasn't materialized. So that's what you're making a joke about. And then on top of that, you're trying to get Brent Mind to sue me. I know Brent Mind have got to be sick right now with me even mentioning this shit. Cause like, what are you doing at this point? And then to threaten me twice with legal action, saying you're going to get Jamaicans and Sikhs to join you. And then you say, we're going to sue you. Sue me for what? I've mentioned Emma Logan's name once. It might not even be her. This is just suspicions that I have in my mind. So why would Stoic Man, the user, whose face I don't know, whose name I don't know, why would they be threatening me with court action? Based on what? I called somebody whose face I don't know and whose name I don't know a Nazi. I didn't say, this name, you're a Nazi. With this facial description, you're a Nazi. I didn't say any of that. I didn't have a name. I didn't have a facial description. So what are you about to sue me over? This is about the Section 21. And this is about me mentioning names online. That's where the fucking threats are coming from. Like threats to section and threats to sue. That's where they're coming from. And again, if I'm supposed to be diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic, that means mental health have basically turned around and said, even if Fabienne is lying, she can't be taken seriously enough to sue. That's what they put in place. And with regard to the sectioning, on what grounds? When I made the video with responding to Shabba Dabba Truth, I was saying that killing people based on their ethnicity is wrong. And I was pointing out how white supremacy is harmful. What mental health professional, unless they're really fucking stupid and they're really fucking grasping, what mental health professional is going to look at that video and say, oh, she's obviously too sick to stay out. She's obviously too sick for that. What mental health professional is going to say that? Even with that video where I threatened to throw hands with somebody who said that I want white children to be raped or want white girls to be raped, even with that person who said that to me and I responded with, you know what, let's fight. What mental health professional is going to disagree with me and disagree with my emotions? What mental health professional is going to disagree with that? What mental health professional is going to look at the litany of comments left on my page meant to intimidate and harass me, and with me responding to that? What mental health professional, unless they're really fucking stupid, really fucking grasping, or desperate, is going to look at any of that and see that as a sign that I'm not rational? Who is going to look at that and say that, like, that's a clear sign that our mental health is getting worse? Ain't no fucking way. There is no way. And sue me for what? Unless your name has been mentioned already, why would you threaten to sue? The only reason you're going to threaten to sue is if your name has already been mentioned. And if you want to threaten me with defamation, well, you got to pick one. It's either you're going to section me or threaten to section me, or you're going to sue me. You've got to pick one. And then with the Section 21, the landlords made sure to give it to me when I didn't ask for it, because they were trying to intimidate me into silence about the lies surrounding you and your family. They wanted me to keep quiet because, you know, for some reason there was this lie that you were moving out on Wednesday, that Emma Logan was moving out on Wednesday. And I'm thinking, why lie about that? Why lie if it's not true? Why say that if it's not true? It doesn't make any sense. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. This is how I know that gang stalking is built on nothing but cruelty. There's no intelligence behind it. Just craziness and stupidity. Bare craziness, bare stupidity. And that is all that's behind this. And now these people have incriminated themselves to the point where, like, they can't come back from this. There's no coming back from this. Ever. These people escalated it to a point where there is no coming back. And then on top of that, everything that I said with regards to Nazism, everything that I said, the connection with gang stalking and Nazism, all of that is turning out to be true. Me and other progressive TIs have been warning everybody, and now it's happening. It's over. It's over. No coming back from this. So I gotta go. Yeah, I was gonna do a little pottering around today, but I spent all day trolling. I spent all day trolling. You'd think as a 40-year-old I'd have better shit to do, but no, I was having too much fun. I was having way too much fun with that shit. So anyway, yeah, yeah, I'm going to see you guys another time. I'm going to talk to you guys another time, and we're going to, yeah, we're going to work this out, man. Cause yeah, there is no coming back from this for anybody involved in gang stalking. None. So yeah, peace and blessings for all of my beautiful TIs. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Before I go, I got to talk about something. I fucking forgot about that. I forgot about this. I have to talk about this. All right. So let me see. Go onto my page. So I've got to talk about this as well. So there was this post from Daniel Lismore, who is an artist who is famous for their really elaborate dresses. Like, they're queer, obviously, and I believe they're non-binary unless I'm wrong. But he wrote a post about somebody called Lee Twamley. So this is what he wrote, and he's got evidence for this. He's got a link, or they've got a link for this. It says, he said, send them back. But Lee forgot to mention, he literally brought them here. Lee Twamley, 55, now one of the loudest voices behind the Union Jack and St. George's flag protests, was jailed for 20 months in 2016 for smuggling immigrants into the UK as part of an organized gang. I'm going to read that again. He was jailed for 20 months in 2016 for smuggling immigrants into the UK as part of an organized gang. He was caught in France with 4 Vietnamese nationals hidden in his van. Not exactly the British bulldog story they were hoping for. So the man who wants to protect our borders was charging people to break them. Now he's out on the streets screaming about immigrants to hide the fact that he used to smuggle them in for cash. So one of the people behind Raise the Flag or Raise the Colors is a murderer, and the other one is a trafficker. And this led me to a very dark realization. I think I've discussed it before. My memory isn't excellent, so it's likely that I've discussed this before. But what I realized about the far right is that they're anti-immigration. They're shutting porn down as well. They're censoring porn bit by bit. They want to scrap education, as much education as possible. And they want to cut public services. They want to cut civil services and public services. What this has led me to realize is that these people, the reason why these people are doing this is because they want to increase the profitability of the black market. They want to increase the profitability of underworld and underground businesses. Because remember, if people are caught trafficking and people are caught like smuggling and things like that, where does the money come back to? In 2008, the economy was supposed to have been saved almost entirely in America by the drug trafficking industry. So with fascism, what fascism does is it limits the amount of legal actions that people can take, and it limits the amount of civil services that people get access to, so that they are more likely to commit crimes. Crimes equals cheaper labor. With illegal immigrants, you have contract leasing. That's why the Rwanda thing was there with Priti Patel. That's why she wanted to send people to Rwanda, send illegal immigrants to Rwanda rather than sending them back to their own countries for contract leasing. So the more people that commit crimes is the more that you can hire them for slave labor or for contract leasing, right? There's that. Then there's the fact that trafficking, the price of trafficking goes up. All kinds of trafficking, sex trafficking, because if porn is banned, then it means that there's going to be more demand for criminality and more demand for even brutal abuse against trafficking and abuse victims than there already was. So there's going to be an increased demand for darker perversions, unfortunately. For vice trafficking, there's going to be more of a demand for vice trafficking. If the borders are closed and like people are blocked from getting in unless they're really like high earning or something, then in this particular case, it means that anybody smuggling people in stand more of a chance to make a profit. Because if the borders are closing and the UK isn't letting as many people in, then the black market stands to make more money. And remember, black market money doesn't belong to the criminals. It has never belonged to the criminals. It has always belonged to the government. It has always belonged to corporations via the government. So if we take the far right all the way to the ends of the earth here, you're talking about an explosion in cheap labor, which spells good news for a lot of companies here. If you make the public uneducated, then it means they're only good for labor, manual labor. You get them to do manual labor. You make sure they lack education to the point where they will take any job. You make sure the conditions are so bad that they will take any job just to survive. Cutting public services plays into that. And if they can't find a job, they'll steal or they'll murder or something. So the only choice for them is to be put in prison where there's domestic contract leasing, cheap labor. You're talking about smuggling immigrants. You close the borders. The price of getting somebody across the border goes up. The price of drug trafficking goes up. The profits go up for drug dealers. The expenses go up, but the profits also go up for anybody who is already very well established. You're talking about all kinds of industries, criminal and corporate, experiencing explosions of profits at a time where everybody else is suffering, specifically because of an uncontrolled free market and basically killing off inclusion and diversity, bringing everything back to a hierarchical structure. It leads to cheaper and more efficient labor, especially when you consider that World War III is on the horizon now. I think, in fact, I think World War III is already here and we just haven't noticed. So everything that's being done, it will lead to increased trafficking. It will lead to increased abuse. When you really boil the far right values down to their essence, it means gang stalking actually starts making money. It means trafficking and abuse makes even more money than it once did. It means there's a wider wealth gap, in which people will literally work for anything, even the smallest amount, which means cheaper labor. Especially if people are not educated enough to ask questions. That's what the far right leads to. And all this stuff about trad wife stuff, militarized. It's militarized living, where the women stay at home and the men go out to work or go out to war. All of that is militarized. That's what the far right are looking for. That's what they want. Cheaper labor. That's what all of this, the fuck, is for. It's because a bunch of people in power are not comfortable with the money they have. They want more. So guess what? They got to squeeze it out of us. And if there are those of us like disabled people, even if those disabled people work, if there are people like disabled people who don't provide effective enough cheap labor, they will cull us. And trans people, because there's so few of them, they're also convenient scapegoats. And immigrants can be good for contract leasing. So they make good scapegoats too. It's a shit show. It's a shit show. And unfortunately, the Nazis have already won. The UK is already one of the new axis of evil, axis powers of evil. The UK and the US and Israel, they're the axis powers of evil now. The Nazis have won, and it's only going to get worse. So I'm confused as to, well, actually, I'm not confused at all. This is what the far right and gang stalking does. Every single time they win, instead of being happy about their victory, they get angrier, they get crueler, they get more desperate. It happens every time. And especially if we don't show signs of not accepting the situation. If we show signs of accepting the situation, that's when they get more belligerent and that's when they get more desperate. I bet you any money that this person has left comments on my video. I bet you any money that they've left more comments on my videos. Yeah, I bet you any money, man. Let me see. Yeah, I bet you any money they've left comments on my videos or fucking Emma Logan most likely. Bet you any money. It's a fucking joke. You already won. Just let it the fuck go. And as for your fucking family screaming upstairs, can you put a muzzle on them goofy fucks? I'm tired. Like, just because you've been lying through your teeth to them their entire lives, it doesn't mean the rest of us have to suffer for it. Sick of this shit, man. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta get on with the rest of my night. I'm gonna watch something stupid. I'm just gonna have a good time. Enjoy my night. Cause what else can I do? I tried to fight for everybody else's rights, maybe even more than my own. Like, what am I gonna do now apart from just have fun while I still can? That's all I can do. So, take care. Peace and blessings. I love you guys so much, and I will see you. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. I've also got like 12 signs to do, so there's that. Okay. So I'll see you guys later. Peace and blessings. Bye bye, my fellow TIs.